All right, we have some massive breaking news. The White House essentially just admitted that they have made the world and America less safe over the past month or so due to plucking the Secretary of Defense off of a Fox News weekend show. That's right. Donald Trump and his administration are officially looking for a new Secretary of Defense. We are not quite sure exactly what is going to happen to Pete Hegseth or what the process of his removal is going to look like, whether it's through a resignation or impeachment. It's going to be whatever Donald Trump wants, and I'm sure we'll figure out soon, but we now have reporting, exclusive. The White House is looking to replace Pete Hegseth as Defense Secretary, and this was officially confirmed by the White House's Rapid Response account. They have an account named Rapid Response 47, and this account does not have a blue check mark. They have a gray check mark, meaning they're an official government account. It's the official Trump account on Twitter, the official Rapid Response account of the Trump White House. And they retweeted the report that the White House is officially looking to replace Hegseth. They did this roughly 15 minutes ago, and this says, the White House has officially begun the process of looking for a new Secretary of Defense, according to a U.S. official who is not authorized to speak publicly. NPR has reached out to the White House for comment. This comes as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth continues to find himself mired in controversy after controversy. Signalgate 1 was crazy, and then in between Signalgate 1 and 2, Pete Hegseth brought his wife to incredibly secure meetings that were not secure because of her presence. And then Signalgate 2 comes out, and it's even worse. So let me point out, Trump has spent years branding himself as a strong man, someone who would make America feared, respected, and above all, safe. But now, his actions are speaking much louder than any sort of slogans ever could, because even his own admin is quietly conceding what critics have said all along. Trump's decisions, the Trump admin, is making the world more dangerous. Actually, scratch that. It's making the world more dangerous for democracies, and it's actually emboldening people like the Houthis, who almost got secure intel because of Pete Hegseth. So to continue, in March, Hegseth shared details about actions against Houthi targets in Yemen in a signal chat with top White House officials that accidentally included a journalist. In the last few weeks, 4 senior advisors to Hegseth have left abruptly, some accused of leaking. They have all released public statements suggesting infighting within the Department of Defense, and these accusations of leaking are false. Pete Hegseth is known to smear anybody who works under him that leaves. So that's why he's smearing these people. That's why people are resigning en masse under Hegseth. You can safely assume that when the New York Times reached out to the Department of Defense for comment about this, that's when people began to resign because they're like, I cannot defend this. So now we see Pete Hegseth scrambling. We see the White House now scrambling to replace Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense less than a month after installing him. Have I even mentioned that? It's less than a month after installing him. That's not just a small personnel change. That is an admission of failure. Pete Hegseth wasn't just a reckless pick. I feel like I'm downplaying it when I say, oh, that was a reckless pick. No. He was handpicked by Trump because Trump watches Fox News, and because of that, he put the lives of American personnel at risk multiple times. He leaked sensitive data. There was a top-down, systematic problem within all of the Department of Defense. Pete Hegseth's drunk ass, who knows if he was actually drunk over the past few weeks, but it seems like Pete Hegseth's ass was so incompetent that bled down to everybody underneath him. Because at the end of the day, a lot of it does start at the top. When you're the CEO of the company, for example, it falls on you. You can't blame some problem on the busboy or the waiters. Nah, dude, you're the one that is a CEO. You have to delegate everything responsibly and set expectations and then manage those expectations. It's not somebody else's fault. Now, we do have a lot of reports that Pete Hegseth's incompetence has become somewhat of a distraction for Trump. So I'm beginning to think that is why Trump wants to replace him, because when Pete Hegseth messes up time after time again, and it's this prolonged news cycle, not just one little blip, but remember about a month ago when the first Atlantic article came out, Pete Hegseth's plan was to say that it wasn't actually sensitive data. Then about 2 days later, Jeffrey Goldberg dropped the actual screenshots, if you remember how the timing worked out there, and that prolonged the news cycle. So Pete Hegseth's dumbass, drunk ass, whatever you want to call him, is so bad at PR that he's created this long news cycle for the Trump admin based purely off incompetency. And you know, he's kind of lucky that Trump is such an idiot that he's also doing massive tariffs and deporting people illegally, because if he wasn't doing that, we would still be talking about Signalgate Part 1, but I guess Signalgate Part 2 was the nail in the coffin. And Lord have mercy, I have a breaking news update within this video. I'm glad I caught this before I ended recording so that I can give the newest updates. Really quickly, before I fill you in, I just want to point out that the Adam Mockler channel has been growing faster than Megyn Kelly, Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, and more in terms of month-over-month, quarter-over-quarter subscribers, but Fox News is still beating the Adam Mockler channel, but it's not impossible. Look it, we are on our way. So make sure that you scroll down, drop a like and subscribe if you want to help us beat Fox News, and check this out. So after Rapid Response 47, you know, that account with the silver check mark, the gray check mark I was talking about earlier, they retweeted a report saying the White House has begun the process of looking for a new Secretary of Defense, and then they say, wrong, fake news, immediately after. I don't get what level of incompetence is this at this point. Caroline Levitt then says, this NPR story is total fake news based on one anonymous source who clearly has no idea what they are talking about. But Rapid Response just retweeted it. Then they say, wrong, fake news. I genuinely do not understand how you can possibly be so incompetent. I really don't know. It is a shit show of incompetence, and I'll leave it at that. Drop a like, subscribe to help us beat Fox. I'll see you all in the next one, and peace out.